You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimpson.
Now, there is plenty of talk around this football team and whether they deserve a bowl game, and they do. This team went 3-7 in SEC play, and you may say, 3 wins isn't impressive, but you have to remember that there was an expanded SEC-only schedule, and then out of our 2 games, we got top 10 teams right now in Georgia and Florida. Multiple calculators and things like that have put together a simulated schedule and record prediction if the Razorbacks played their original out-of-conference, and most of those say we lose to Notre Dame, which makes sense as they are the number 2 team in the nation right now, but we win against Kent State, we win against UL Monroe, and then we win against Charleston Southern, putting us at 6-6. I think we win all 3 of those games easily, and then all 3 of our wins were originally on the schedule before the season, so I think this team is worthy of a bowl game as they would be at that 500 level that is required for bowl games, but this year there is no win requirement. Now, there is 9 SEC Bowl tie-ins outside of the New York 6/college football playoff games. So the SEC assigned the lower bowl games last year. I'm not sure what they're going to do this year because of the new bowl season thing. And they gave their own predictions. I'll talk about that later. But this year, LSU self-imposed a bowl ban penalty, so they won't be included in any talks, which opens up, more spots for other teams, potentially us. And I really doubt Vanderbilt will go to a bowl game as they finished 0-9 on the season with Derek Mason also being fired. But the bowls will be selected on Sunday along with everything else. I'm pretty sure that is going to be on the College Football Playoff Show, which I think is on ESPN 11 a.m. Central on December 20th. Sometimes they get leaked earlier, though, on Twitter and stuff, but I'll have everyone updated on my Twitter at AllHogSportsPod as normal. Now, this will be done on Sunday, and I would expect every conference to try to fill every single spot they can with a no-win requirement. This really sucks for the G5 and the lower schools, but I think the conferences are just going to try to put every single team they can because there's no win requirements as all. And then they're also trying to do it off of region as well to minimize travel during the pandemic. Because, you don't want to have a team fly for so long because then they're exposed to COVID if someone has it, and such forth off of that. Now, all these bowl projections are updated as of Thursday, December 17th, but let's get at it. Now, the first one is from the official bowl season. It's a collective coalition of all of the bowl games, and their website revealed their first projections on bowlseason.com. That's their official stuff. Now, the reveal was on November 27th. Nothing has been updated since then. And they have us playing in the Gator Bowl versus UNC. UNC was 6-2 at the time, and Arkansas was 3-5 at the time. That was before the Mizzou and Bama game. And the Gator Bowl is versus an ACC team, but I really doubt we're in that talk still after the loss to Missouri and then the loss to Bama. I mean, the Gator Bowl is always going to be a good game, and I think a higher SEC team is going to get that spot. I don't think Arkansas will be in any talks for that one. But this was obviously a little older from November 27th. And I just wanted to throw this out there because that's what, the bowl season said. Even though nothing's official from them, that's just the projections from their website. Now, ESPN has 2 separate people who list their predictions for him. The first one from Bonagura. He's got the Hogs playing in the Texas Bowl versus Texas. Texas is 6-3 on the season. They've lost a lot of starting captains due to opt-outs and stuff, but the Razorbacks have also lost a few in Rakeem Boyd, and I'd expect a couple players to enter the NFL draft too. Now, the Texas Bowl is always against a Big 12 team as normal. Now, the other NFL analyst, Shea Block, has the Hogs also playing in the Texas Bowl. However, he has us playing against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is 7-3 right now, and also a Big 12 school there. And they lost a big opt-out in Chuba, but, they have so much talent and depth. I'm sure they'll be able to replace him if Arkansas happens to get this bowl game. But with any of these games, I'm not going to predict and, preview any potential matchups just because that doesn't really make sense. So if we get, a confirmation of a bowl game on Sunday, I will keep you guys updated for when I'm going to, release a preview, because I'm for sure going to do that, as this team has fought hard and deserves a bowl game, and I think they'll get one. Yahoo Sports has us playing in the Armed Forces Bowl versus Colorado. Colorado is 4-1 on the season. Now, it's something interesting because it was the SEC's turn for the Las Vegas Bowl instead of playing in the Belk, which is now called the Duke Mayo Bowl, but the Las Vegas Bowl dropped, all their plans. So the Armed Forces Bowl picked it up. The Armed Forces Bowl is normally Big 12 versus Conference USA or AAC team. However, this year it's going to be SEC versus Pac-12 as it picked up the Las Vegas Bowl. And Yahoo has us playing Colorado. As I said, Colorado is 4-1. Just a little reminder there. Now, Stadium from Brett McMurphy. These are his predictions. He has us playing in the Liberty Bowl versus TCU. TCU is 6-4 on the year and in the Big 12. And out of any of the Big 12 schools we're currently projected to play, I think TCU is going to be the best shot for the Razorbacks to get a win. I think Texas and Oklahoma State are fantastic teams, even though, most people don't like Texas. And I'm not a big fan of Texas either, but I think TCU is just the easiest way to get a win. He has us playing in the Liberty Bowl there, not the Texas Bowl. But CBS has us playing in the Texas Bowl versus TCU. The Athletic has the same prediction there as well. USA Today has the Razorbacks playing in the Liberty Bowl versus Oklahoma State. Now, the Liberty Bowl is obviously versus a Big 12 team. And instead of TCU, this one has Oklahoma. Now, Sporting News has the same thing, Liberty Bowl versus Oklahoma. 247 Sports has Texas Bowl versus Oklahoma State. And then Saturday Down South has Texas Bowl versus Oklahoma State. And Saturday Down South has Texas Bowl versus Texas. I feel like a lot of these predictions are just Texas Bowl, and it's whether we're going to play Oklahoma State or Texas. It just depends. Oklahoma State played last year in the Texas Bowl. Bleacher Report has a different one here. Liberty Bowl versus Kansas State, 4-6. This would be the easiest path for the Razorbacks to get any sort of, easy bowl game victory. I think Kansas State is the weakest out of all of the teams so far. 4-6 on the season for them. Avalon Sports has us in the Texas Bowl versus TCU. And then College Football News has us in the Texas Bowl versus Texas. Now, I talked to the guys over at Dash Sports on Twitter. Their Twitter handle is @_sports with a Z. Make sure to go give them a follow and check them out. I was on their preview episode for Texas A&M, and I gave some bold predictions that ended up not working out too well. But what he told me is he's hoping for a Texas Bowl versus Texas, but he thinks the Longhorns are going to dodge every, SEC team they can. And he said that he thought it was going to be the Liberty Bowl for the Razorbacks until LSU self-imposed a bowl ban, because what they're trying to do, I talked about it earlier, they're trying to make it, more region-based, and out of all the schools closest to Texas, Arkansas seems to be one of them, as LSU has self-imposed that bowl ban. So he thinks we're going to get the Texas Bowl. For an opponent, he said if Texas dodges, he think it'd be TCU or Texas Tech, but he's got TCU. Texas Bowl versus TCU from Dash Sports. Make sure to give him a follow, though, @_sport Z at the end. And he said he'd give it to Oklahoma State if they weren't playing in that bowl game last year. Big shout out to them for, giving me a little prediction with some analysis to it.
It's time for Sam's prediction.
Now, my prediction for the Arkansas Razorbacks bowl game, I'm going with Texas Bowl versus TCU as well. I think the biggest thing that, plays into this, like the guys at Dash Sports were saying, is the region-based. I think LSU was going to get the Texas Bowl until they self-imposed the bowl ban, and it really doesn't make sense to send a lot of other schools to Texas, with them trying to play the region-based bowl games due to the pandemic. So I think the closest school, to the Texas bowl game would be Arkansas, but the Armed Forces Bowl is also in Texas as well. So I could see either one of those being a real possibility. The Liberty Bowl is also pretty close, but I feel like they may try to send Mississippi State or Ole Miss over there to the Liberty Bowl. So I got the Texas Bowl for that reason. I got TCU. I think it, could be Texas. I just think they're not going to put Texas in there because we're playing Texas next year. I think Oklahoma State is honestly too good for the Texas Bowl, and they also played in it last year. It wouldn't make sense to put them in the bowl twice. You don't see that often, so the next up would be TCU. This game would be really close compared to the other ones, though, and I think it would be the most exciting matchup. But that was all for today's episode. I was doing some polls and stuff on Twitter to figure out how I should release these. So Friday, obviously today, is the bowl projections episode, and then tomorrow is going to be the Oral Roberts preview for basketball. So shout out to everybody who answered my poll on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me there, though, at allhogsportspod. You can find a link to that and always listen at allhogsports.com as normal. But this is a little quick recap, to get everybody ready for the bowl predictions. But, as always, whoop pig. Let's go get that bowl game.
That's all for today's episode of All Hog Sports with Sam Stimpson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hog Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hog Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!